What's up guys, this is Vishu from SavageCamp and today we are going to talk about file ownerships. So if you create a file over here, file and directory, let me do this and do an LL, you will see both have root and root. So what is this? So the first root is the owner and the second root is the group. So whenever I add any user, let me show you that. Let me add user 1 and let me switch user. So pass wd and let me switch to user 1. So if I create a file over here and do an LL, you will see user 1 and user 1. So this is the default kernel behavior of Linux, where if you create any file from any user, it first adds the user to the same group. If I do an ID, you will see that this user is part of a group user 1, which is the same username. So every user when added gets a group with the same name, and when you create a file, it will create the file with the group with the username, which is over here, and the primary group name. So user 1 can also be part of some other group, but only the primary group name would come over here. And to give you an example, let me switch to Vishu because I think it is part of another group. So let me switch user to Vishu and do an ID. So Vishu is not part of any other group. So let me switch back and let me add it. So user mod minus AG development Vishu and group add development. Oh, I spelled it wrong. So if I do ID Vishu, you will see that it is part of two groups, Vishu and development. But the first group is always the primary group, and this is what it is going to select when you create any file or any directory. So what I'm trying to say is, if I create a file, it's root and root, but what if I want this to be Vishu? So I'll do chown Vishu and file. So now we are just saying change ownership to Vishu of file. Now what this will do is change the ownership but not the group, because we didn't specify the group. What if I want to specify the group? So I will do Vishu Vishu file, and now you will see the group has changed too. From root it is Vishu now. But what if you want something else? If you want development, you can do it like this. Or now the period also works, but if you want to keep the same owner, you don't have to specify it. You can do something like this. I don't know if the period would work over here. Oh, it worked. So if I do an LL, you see the development group has changed, but the username is still same because we didn't specify it over here. So I can also do this as user 1 and do an LL, and you can see user 1 is changed now. So let me clear the screen and let me make some files into dir1. Let me just go in there and touch. So now since we are root, it is going to create all these files with root. So I'm going to do an LL, and you can see all these files are with the name and group root. So I'm going to go a directory back, and if I do an LL, you will see that this is owned by root and everything inside is owned by root. So if I want to modify the permissions, I will do chown vishu.development and then dir1 and everything inside dir1. I can do it like this, and let us see if it works. So it changed everything to this one. Or I can do it like user 1, and I can add -r for recursive and like chmod v for verbose, and it will show you the change in changes. But one thing that you need to remember is when you're specifying this, it is not changing the permissions of the directory. So you will have to run this again, removing the thing, and because we use -rv, what this did is also changed the ownership of directory. So over here the directory was root and root, but because we didn't specify the slash and asterisk, which is everything under that directory, if I do an ll, now you can see user 1 and development is over here. Now I can do the same thing with root and root, and then you will see it change the directory too. So one thing you need to remember is this is different from this. When you add this, you are telling everything inside the folder, not the folder. You're telling everything inside the folder. Let me show you this again. If I do vishu.vishu and if I do an ll on dir, it's still root and root. It didn't go to vishu.vishu. But if I do an ll on dir1, you will see everything as vishu and vishu because we specified everything inside dir1. We didn't specify dir1. And if you want to avoid this kind of mistake, which I do a lot, what you have to do is try not putting this slash and asterisk and just using this command. So what this would do is everything under dir1 and also dir1 would be vishu and vishu. So that is like very basics of changing ownerships of files. Always remember, the first is the user who created the file. The second is the primary group of the file, not the groups. It is the primary group, the group that comes in first when you do an ID on the user. It's the primary group. So that is all. Keep subscribing to get new videos every day, and if you have any questions, just post it in the comment section.